Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So let me ask you something. Have you ever scrolled through your social media feed or watched an ad and thought, wow, that was unforgettable? Yeah, me too. Because here's the thing, we're now living in a world where information is cheap, right? Back in the days, you have to go to a library, you have to go to university for information, you have to, I don't know, pay money for books and stuff. But now everything is online, right? The best lectures from Harvard University is like literally online. Yeah, it's everywhere, right? But great stories, it's rare, right? Today, I want to talk about what I've been studying, which is to improve on telling great stories, and not just good ones, but great ones. And whether you're a marketeer or a creator, or just someone who wants to connect with people on a deeper level, I think storytelling is the ultimate superpower. So let's dive into it. So what I have learned so far is that a great story is true. So now when I say true, I don't necessarily mean it has to be factual. I mean, it has to be authentic. It has to feel real. Because here's the thing, people can smell bullshit from a mile away. And if your story feels fake or it feels forced, they're going to tune out faster than you can say clickbait, right? I learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I was working on a project where I tried to create this perfect story, right? It had all the right elements, the drama, the emotion, the happy ending. But when I shared it, it just fell flat because people didn't connect with it. And you know why? Because it wasn't me. It wasn't authentic. I was trying so hard to make it perfect that I forgot to make it real. So now whenever you tell a story, ask yourself, right? I ask myself, does this feel true to me? Is this authentic to how I feel? Is this me being me? Does this align with my values, my experiences, my voice? Because if it doesn't, it's not going to resonate with anyone else either. Next up, I think a great story makes a promise. And not just any promise, it makes bold, audacious promise. It's like saying, hey, stick with me. I will take you on a journey. I'll make you laugh. I'll make you think, and I'll make you something that you've never seen before. And that promise, it has to be exceptional, right? Because if it's not, why would anyone care? So let me give you an example. A while back, I was working on a campaign for a client and they wanted to promote their new product. And they had this long list of features that they wanted to highlight. And I said, no, let's not talk about features. Let's talk about the promise. So instead of saying this product has X, Y, and Z, say this product will change the way you do X forever. And guess what? It worked because people don't buy features. They buy promises. At my coding bootcamp, I used to say, hey, come and join my coding bootcamp. We have 3 months of bootcamp. We teach JavaScript and React and whatever it is. And then after that, we help you give you a certification after you graduate, right? That is features, but instead I changed it to having a very bold promise, which is to learn a new skill in 3 months and then get a job. Otherwise, we give you 100% of your money back. So that's the promise that we made. And after we changed that pitch, our sales just went through the roof. And the next thing to telling a great story is making sure that it's trusted. And let's be real here, because trust is in short supply these days. People don't trust ads. People don't trust influencers. Heck, they don't even trust the most beautiful women ordering vodka at the bar, right? Because she's probably working for the company to get guys to pay for her drinks. So how do you build trust? And for me, it's all about credibility. You have to earn the right to tell your story. And that means being consistent. You gotta be transparent. And most importantly, you gotta be real. And I've made it a point to always be honest with my audience. Whether I'm sharing a success story or a failure story, by the end of the day, people will know that they're not just here to hear my story. They want to know that they can trust me. They want to know that they are safe with me, right? So you got to do that. And the next thing is to make sure that a great story is subtle, right? This is the fun one because it shouldn't be just giving you all bells and whistles and all the little details about the story, right? In fact, the less you spell out, the more powerful the story becomes, because when you leave the room for people to draw their own conclusions, they become invested in the story. They want to play their own role to shape the narrative and they make it their own. And I remember this one time when I was working on a video script, I kept adding more and more and more details and I wanted to make sure people got it. But my editor just looked at me and said, Deric, you are over explaining. Let the audience connect the dots. And you know what? He was right, because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that don't say everything. They just hint at it and you figure it out. And that's how you feel connected to it. Here's the truth bomb. A great story happens fast. First impressions matter a lot. And if you don't grab someone's attention in the first few seconds, you basically lost them, period. Right? I've learned this lesson when I first starting out on YouTube and started creating ads, right? I used to spend forever on these long drawn out intros and my videos, they bombed, right? Because no one stuck around long enough to hear the good stuff. And so now I try and make sure to hook people in from the start, whether it's a bold statement, a surprising fact, or a personal story, and make sure that they're hooked in before they even think about clicking away. Here's something that may surprise you. A great story doesn't appeal to logic. It appeals to your senses. It's not about facts and figures. It's about how something made you feel. And that's because at the end of the day, people don't make decisions based on logic. They make them based on emotion. And I'll never forget this one campaign that I worked on back then. We had all the stats and numbers to back up our product, but no one cared. So instead, we told a story about how this product changed someone's life and how we brought this person from A to B. That's what got people's attention, right? Because it wasn't about numbers. It was about how can you invoke this emotion and this trust in someone else. And the next thing, which is very important, is that a great story is almost never aimed at everyone, because if you try to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. The best stories are ones that speak to a specific audience, and when you do that, something magical happens because that audience will become your biggest advocate. So if you share your story, they'll talk about it and they'll spread it far and wide. I've seen this happen time and time again. When I started my blog, I didn't try to write it for everyone. I wrote it for my people, for my audience, for my tribe, the ones who share my values, my interests, and my worldview. And you know what? Those are the people who stuck around. Those are the people who became my tribe. And finally, it's very important to not contradict yourself, because if it does, people will notice, and once they notice, they will lose trust in you. And trust, as we've already talked about, is everything. I remember this one time I was working with a client on this amazing product, but their branding was all over the place. The website said one thing, their ads said another, and their social media, don't even get me started, honestly, right? But it was confusing people, so we had to go back to the drawing board and make sure that everything was aligned, because if your story doesn't add up, people will notice and they probably will not stick around. Finally, a great story needs to agree with our worldview, and by that I mean it doesn't try to teach us something new. Instead, it reinforces what we already believe. It makes us feel smart, makes us feel secure, it makes us feel validated. So I've seen it in action so many times. When I share a story that aligns with my audience values, it resonates, it clicks, because it's not about changing their mind, it's about affirming it. And when you do that, they create a connection that's hard to break. They like you more, and when they like you more, they trust you, and when they trust you, you win, right? There you have it. This is my take from what I've learned so far about telling great stories. And here's the thing, storytelling is not just for marketing or sales or branding. It's about building a connection. It's about getting to know someone. It's about sharing something that matters to you. It's about creating something that resonates with them, something that sticks with them, right? If you can do that, you will not only capture someone's attention, you will also capture their hearts if you do it right. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you liked this video. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thank you.